What is going on, Cornucopias community? Welcome back to the official Dapp Central YouTube channel. Over the course of this past week, I've been interviewing some of the different guilds throughout the Cornucopias Metaverse, which, if you guys don't know, is going to be a metaverse being built on Unreal Engine 5 using the Cardano network. And so, as a part of my second interview here, I've got KB, who's going to be one of the founding members of the Corn Mafia Guild. KB, how are you doing on this wonderful weekend?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me on your show, and thanks for inviting me. I'm glad I can be here and yeah, get this thing rolling.
Yes, no, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and just kind of give us a better idea as to what the actual Corn Mafia Guild is doing within the Kopi metaverse. Now, before we continue any further, I do want to give the viewers an idea of what we're going to be talking about. So, first things first, if this is your guys' first time seeing KP, we're going to get a personal introduction as to how he came into this space and exactly what he's doing for the Corn Mafia Guild. Following that, we're going to get a brief guild overview from him, kind of highlighting all the ins and outs of the guilds. And then after that, we're going to switch gears and talk about how you guys in the community can actually become a member of the Corn Mafia, as well as the recruitment process and guild structure. Then we're going to kind of pivot and talk about their 2023 roadmap. We're also going to discuss the upcoming release of the Cornucopias MVP and their mainnet, as well as some NFT sales. And then we're going to discuss some of their current development priorities and strategies. And in closing of this wonderful interview, we're going to talk about some of the events that they plan on attending as a part of this community. And then we're going to, last but not least, get his closing thoughts and comments here surrounding not only the guild, but what he sees for the future of the Cornucopias game. How does that sound to you, KB?
It sounds wonderful, and I'd say it's a nice end of the current week and a nice start to the new week.
Let's go and just jump straight into the personal intro, man. Go ahead, take it away.
I'm happy to do that. Thank you. I go by the name KB, as most of us call me. It's actually short for Kugerutzbauer, which is an old German or Austrian way to say corn farmer. And I started to establish this name when I first got into cornucopias, actually. I thought this would be quite fitting to have not only something that is corn related, but also something uh, that brings more diversity into it. It's not English; it's something different, and that's why I chose the name. So, I myself, I'm 36 years old now. I'm married. I have a kid. I got two master degrees, one in technical physics and one in rolling stock engineering. And I currently work as a project manager for an international railway company. And I'm one of the leaders of the Corn Mafia. I was introduced to the Corn Mafia roughly a week after they actually established. So the Corn Mafia was established in October 2021, so quite some time ago. And yeah, I met the guys right after, and they thought, well, we we want to have this guy. And since then, I'm putting all my efforts and all my time into this to bring the project alive and help not only the Corn Mafia but also Cornucopias grow. So that's how I stepped into both Cornucopias and Corn Mafia.
Got it. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I didn't realize you had two master's degrees, man. That's quite the background there. I think I struggled just to get out of college. So more power to you on that end. Now, I will say that when you did mention what KB actually stood for, it took me a while to understand, and you actually sent me the actual text, which I'll probably go ahead and just put it at the bottom here for the viewers to kind of
Fine. Yeah.
actually read it. But it's quite the word there as well. But I think it's more than fitting given what you're doing here within the Cornucopias metaverse. So that aside, now that we kind of understand a little bit more about you, do you mind just kind of giving us a brief overview of what the Corn Mafia Guild is and what your objective is to do within this Cornucopias metaverse?
I'm happy to do that. So, Corn Mafia. We were we were straying about what name to use, and Corn Mafia was one of the ideas, and that will also reflect later on when I explain what ranks or roles and what overall structure we have within the Corn Mafia. But basically, it's pretty similar to a guild, but also a company. That's also why I think I really fit good within the leaders, because it's not the master degrees that I bring to the guild, but more the project management side of things. And that's how we try to structure the overall guild. We try to have different departments. We try to really bring corporate thinking into the guild. We try to build a startup. We try to build a business, because that's what Cornucopias offers as an opportunity, and that's what we want to drive as a guild, and that's what we want to offer as leaders to our members. So when it comes to that, I think guilds are pretty similar in itself. So I won't talk about what is a guild. A guild is a bunch of people coming together and focusing on a game, basically. But within our structure, what we have two tiers, and I touched on that right before, the ranks and roles. So when it comes to ranks, we have different steps you can evolve in when it comes to the mafia. So when you come into our Discord server, um, and you manage to verify yourself that you're not a bot, but actually a person, you will immediately get the first tier, so to speak. This is mainly a Discord role as a rank. Once you accept our rules and what we stand for, this rules includes common things like don't be cruel to people, don't shill other projects, be for the mafia, stand for the mafia, um, and so on. So common rules, basically. But it also includes accepting something that we came up together with the knights a few months ago, a common ground of behavioral rules that we all should enforce within our communities, to not have any bad discussions in the overall Cornucopias chat. So once you have accepted both of those, you will get up to the next rank, which will then open up basically the whole non-internal Discord for you. So the first two are mainly Discord based ranks. And I think one thing that stands out, and again, this is something I brought into from a corporation standpoint, is the so-called onboarding process. And this is where maybe joining the guild and progressing within the guild maybe joins together. We then have the so-called onboarding process. The onboarding process you will get after a certain amount of time, or if somebody applies the role to you, you will get access to an onboarding form. Within this form, we ask questions like, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What experience do you bring within the mafia? What what are your goals, and so on and so forth. So we want to really have in written words um, what the goals of a certain person are, and how they feel about the mafia, and what they want to bring into the community. And based on that, we we then um, decide where the person fits most, or the person can also decide where he or she wants to go to. So going away from the ranks, we then have also the roles, which are defining different work groups. We have our strategy department, we have artists, we have marketing, and so on and so forth. All these beautiful branches within a company. And we try to have people who actually want to work in a certain department and put their efforts in to actually have them in this department. And each department is led by a godparent. So these are the roles. Going for the ranks, once you have filled out the onboarding process, and um, there differs a bit. Some people don't feel it's right to be within one work group. That's no issue at all. You will still rank up to so-called associate, and this is the first real mafia rank, so to speak. Um, yeah, so this is when you really step into the internal processes, where we made sure we can trust you as a new member, so to speak, because sharing information and sharing knowledge is always crucial to be kept internally when it comes to a strategic game like Cornucopias will be in certain aspects. Yeah, and progressing from there are a few different steps, and one that I maybe also want to highlight is the underboss rank. An underboss currently, since the game is not out yet, is somebody who is the second in command of a godparent for a work group. So yeah, I maybe forgot. We keeping all this mafia theme combined. The leaders are called godparents. So we really try to keep this mafia theme alive within all the processes and ranks and roles. So this
Got
is
it.
basically the current steps. We have defined different aspects of them, but as always, we have still to wait for some information and development from the game to actually also highlight benefits of the different roles. Since we don't know how it will play out, what tools the game will offer, at this current time, we can only highlight as much as we know, so to speak.
That's a fair point. Speaking with Moody, I kind of got a similar answer to that, right? You guys can only divulge as much information as you guys actually have, and since the game isn't necessarily out with all the economics and exactly how the play to earn rewards are going to be based off of, it is a little bit difficult to kind of talk to your guild members about that without having that information available. That said, I just want to kind of highlight and recap some of the information that you just mentioned. So, if you guys are interested in the Corn Mafia Guild, I will be going ahead and leaving the links to all their socials down in the description below. They've got an official Corn Mafia Guild website, which is available at cornmafiaguild.io. They're also accessible on Twitter, YouTube, and they've got an official link tree basically highlighting all the other presences or social medias that they are available on. Now, what was interesting that you just talked about was the mafia theme, right? So you guys are really living up to your name. You guys have really kind of gone with this godfather, godmother, the Donna, the underboss kind of roles, which again, I think kind of really fit into real world mafias that were once alive and, kind of thriving. So I find that aspect to be really cool, but I don't think that it's odd or different, that you guys kind of bring people in with the temporary role. You guys kind of do, I think, a nice little vetting process, asking them, hey, what do you think you can contribute to the guild? And based off of whatever they let you know, you guys kind of figure out what niche they can contribute to using their strengths in the actual guild. I think that's a really solid way to kind of take a look at it. That way people feel like they're actually being used in an area that they can contribute really greatly in. That said, I did speak with Scruffy and Zeke at CNFT Con in 2022, which took place in Vegas. And he and I were just kind of chatting away, and he talked to me, because obviously I like to create content, but he was like, hey, if you were to come in to join the guild, you'd be with the content creators. And I think he said that he was like the godfather. And so, I would kind of be collaborating and working with him in the guild. And again, that just kind of goes to highlight the structure there, right? Being partnered up with people that kind of do a similar thing, I think is really great. And as a new person coming into the guild, I think it makes them really kind of feel welcome, again, because they're talking to people about things that they're already kind of aware of. Now, another thing that you mentioned was your guys' code of conduct, right? And the fact that you guys kind of collaborated a little bit with the Knights about that, which I think is really great as well. That kind of shows that you guys are not necessarily competitors. Obviously, you guys are different guilds, but you guys are at least close enough to be able to talk about, okay, this is what we both want here as some of the top guilds in Cornucopias as to how people should be conducting themselves when they're in the actual guilds, right? So I think that that's a really key takeaway there, given, how big of a game this is actually going to be. Right now, I think there's more than 40,000 members in the Discord. But again, this is all before the actual launch and before people actually join into the platform, right? So I think making sure you've at least got the ground rules set up is going to be very, very key before everybody starts really kind of rushing in there. So I do appreciate that. Let's kind of just keep things moving along. Let's kind of talk a little bit more about the 2023 roadmap and what you guys kind of have in store, right? So for anybody who's watching this video, the Cornucopias team will be releasing their MVP, which will include the desktop launcher, as well as their racing game MVP. The racing game MVP we did get a chance to get our hands on as a part of CNFT Con. I was actually lucky enough to play that. I really enjoyed that experience. We got to run around through Solace as well as do some of the multiplayer head-to-head kind of racing. So we should begin to see that roll out as a part of Q2. That said, what are your guys' plans surrounding the Kopi MVPs, the mainnet launch, and just the NFT sales, right? So whether or not you guys will be conducting your own NFT sales, or whether or not you guys are planning to maybe purchase assets from the actual Cornucopias game once those launch, as we begin to see more of the game come to fruition.
Yeah, a great question. Thank you for that. Well, it's a big bunch of questions and bucket of questions, but maybe let's start what has already happened in 2023, because we already launched 2 DAOs in 2022, which were installed to buy land assets. So the Alpha DAO was installed to buy land assets, and the Beta DAO was there to buy dome assets. But in 2023, we did an upgrade to that. So within, and this is why it has been quite a challenging week. Within 1.5 weeks, we actually, since we had to do some change in management, so to speak, we had to transition to a version 2 of that. So within a week, we built up a new Discord. We built up a new visual token, which you can all see and on JPEG Store. But we also built everything up new and transition to that. So why it's important to understand that what's the purpose of them. We wanted to have an opportunity for our members to come together in the form of these DAOs and invest together to buy assets of Cornucopias. That's why it is a DAO. The decisions within that are community driven, and the main goal is to distribute or to incentivize the community buying into those DAOs by then distributing rewards that might or will be, once the game is out, um, be coming from those assets, those underlying assets like land or domes. And so this was the first main step within this new year. And going forward, we are actually planning to release a third and a fourth one soon. The information about that has to be kept secret for the holders. So we now put out the structure overall is there's a DAO board consisting of godparents, since the assets will be used by the guild. So the guild has to have oversight of them, but decisions will be taken by the community. So we now propose to the community what we are planning, and now gathering information and input by the token holders to see where things should go in their opinion. So this will be the first 2 major steps on the asset side. Then when it comes to the game itself, our gaming department, of course, we have a gaming department, is currently building up a racing league, gathering together people who are interested in the racing itself. So this will be a major step when it comes to gameplay, to actually see something, feel something. And I think this will bring some hype again to the Discord. I have the feeling both Cornucopias, maybe also the Knights, but also the Mafia, it's somewhat quiet lately, because we are in the bear market, people are tired and they are not there anymore. So we are really looking forward to something people can use and play and come together again. And we yeah, so that's why we are setting up the racing team currently, but also all our content creators are preparing to stream, to make YouTube videos about it, to bring more content, actual content about something that you can see. Besides that, there's also something that is really close to my heart, but since we have not informed the community about it, I can't openly talk about it, but it is something based on the knowledge sector, something that Cornucopias really lives up to, the learn to earn aspect, and we are in the process of building something you won't earn something because we don't earn something from it, but we are building something to bring back knowledge and learning to the community. So this is something I'm really excited about. um, yeah, of course, we have different other work streams currently going on, which can't be really talked about since they are highly dependent, like we discussed before, on the progress of the game. Um, I personally am really looking forward to the mainnet launch or the launch itself to see what possibility it offers in terms of wallet integration, in terms, of course, of guild tools. We are trying to hold ourselves back on building our own tools. We have a few programmers within the guild. I myself try also to step into programming smart contracts and such, but we are trying to hold ourselves back until we know what tools will be offered by the game itself. Again, something that we have to wait for until we can really progress. But there's always something brewing in the background for all the different topics. But keeping it to the roadmap, um, basically one major step, I think, will be internally for the community that we are currently writing the version 2 of our constitution. I heard the Knights have their white paper. We call it the Constitution. Minor differences. So far, we have an outline. We have the topics we want to write about, but that's something that needs to be prepared carefully, I'd say. And we will put everything we want to highlight about the mafia, the strategy, ranks and roles will be in there. Everything around that, basically, like a constitution will be. This is something that we are working currently on and will hopefully be releasing to the community soon. And yeah, when it comes, I think one of the other questions was where will we be present in person? Currently, we started to working on how to raise funds and how to be there for CNFTCon. We were there last year. It was a bit spontaneous, I'd say. So a few of our members volunteered. They said, we are there anyway. And we said, okay, cool. We're going to buy a booth and we provide you guys with T-shirts and a banner and whatever is needed. And we are planning to do this year again. So there's a special work group working on this, what to set up, how to raise the funds for that, because last time everything was funded by us godparents, and we plan to maybe distribute the financial load a bit. Um, yeah, so this is definitely one major event that we will be. Other than that, nothing is planned yet. Some rumors always say there will be something CNFT related in London, but we are not sure where and when and what. But that's also something on our radar. So we always keep an eye out for events that are pretty close to where our godparents live, that we are all separated or distributed throughout the world. We have godparents based in US, we have a few in Europe, we have a few in Asia, we have a few in Australia. So it's really separated or distributed, and that's why we looking out for events all over the world and see where we can attend, which is hard sometimes until we actually earn something from the game that is being built that we want to play. So yeah,
I I can completely understand that, right? Trying to spend funds before they're actually in
yeah,
can be difficult. And like you said, the fact that you guys are, I think, willing to do that and that you've already shown the community that you already have done that as godparents, I think also gives you guys credibility and trust in my eyes, right? You guys are willing to basically put your money where your mouth is and get people to come out at CNFT Con, represent you guys, show the community that you guys are actually there for, not just the game, but for networking and also outreach as well. Again, I got to meet Scruffy there. I saw Eric there. I saw Zeke there. And they were all
yeah,
more than happy to talk to me about the guild and exactly how it works. And so, again, that I think is what people need. And one thing that I will say is like CNFTCon, that was just year number one. For anybody who didn't attend this, don't feel bad. I think that this was a great opportunity, but it was just the very first one, you know? CNFTCon will be taking place again this year. The Cornucopias team has already said, hey, we're going to be in attendance. There's no doubt about that. And for them to kind of even one up what they're going to be doing this year, I'm just excited because they already had like the biggest presence there when it comes to a metaverse game at the event, hands down, at least again, in my personal opinion. But to then also have the Knights were there. Now they didn't have a booth, but you guys I think did have a booth, and Tunnel Vision with Ezra and Cheryl did have a booth as well. I think this year, knowing how many people are going to be there and knowing how much more prominent Cornucopias is going to be, it's really going to be key for these guilds to come down there and really kind of hit the ground running in terms of their presence, networking, recruiting, and just having all of that in place. So I think that this is going to be good. Again, it's going to be the second kind of round. And so I think people are going to kind of take what they've learned from last year, iterate on that, and really, again, come out with their best foot forward this year. And I'm excited to see what you guys got going on there for CNFTCon. So I'll definitely be visiting the booth again if Zeke is out there, you know, if Scarfy's out there, we'll be chatting and hanging out together. Now, I want to just briefly touch on some of the prior points that you just made.
Mhm.
So if I understand correctly, you guys have now transitioned, or you guys are going through the transitioning right now into the second version of your DAO, which is, I believe, completed.
Yep.
Now, as a part of this process, you guys will be using the revenue, right, from these NFTs in order to actually purchase land, which will then kind of go and be managed by the actual,
Um,
go ahead, by
no,
the guild.
sorry. And that minor miscommunication. No,
Mm-hmm,
the two current DAOs are already set up. The
mm-hmm,
transition was to have a new token, a new Discord, and a new policy ID.
mm,
But the underlying, and this is what we really wanted to make sure to everybody prior to transition, all the underlying NFTs that were already bought are still safe in a multisig. We actually worked with a DAO together on the multisigs. In between, we built our own multi-sig solution to have it actually stake there because there was nothing available. But no, those are projects that are, or DAOs that are already established, that are existing. We only transition to a version 2 to improve the visuals, improve the experience. But nothing will be done there.
mm-hmm.
There will be new ones though, which offer the opportunity to buy in again.
Got it. Got it. So let me just make sure that I can restate this and get this correct. DAOs are already in place. I think you said two of them, and all the assets are still under management. And I believe that the actual earnings that come from that land, again, will be used to kind of be distributed back again to all the guild members. Is that accurate?
To the token holders, that is correct.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. Now, you said there will be additional DAOs, which I assume will probably be following the same process, right? As
That
maybe
is
we
correct.
get like new NFTs from the Cornucopias team. You guys may actually say, hey, now we want to build, you know, we want to spin up this other DAO that'll mainly be focusing on purchasing this other kind of asset, but maybe with a similar reward structure.
Yes. We always we establish a reward structure, and we tend to keep it the same, uh, both to keep transparency up, but also to make the job easier for us on the back end, so to speak.
Yeah, I can only imagine trying to deal with different rewards for different DAOs. That just adds another level of complexity.
Yes.
All right. Now, you did also mention that you guys are going to be building or at least gathering a racing team league. So, for anybody who's watching, the Cornucopias game has basically said that they really want to emphasize esports here when it comes to their game as a whole, right? Obviously, they've got the metaverse, but then they've got like these different mini games, which the MVP I think will be like a separate game of its own. But they're really kind of striving to get professional gamers in here, and it sounds like you guys are thinking ahead here and really trying to kind of establish that presence. Now, I was at CNFTCon, and man, when I tell you, just with that minor glimpse of the game that we got, there was just so much competition. You know, there were leaderboards in place and just so many different things. So I think if you guys are able to really nail this, this is going to bring a lot of eyeballs into the Corn Mafia, right? If you guys can establish yourselves very early on as a really top-notch team of e-racers per se, right? That's going to, again, I think bring a lot of eyeballs to you. So I'll be watching to see exactly how you guys execute on that and who actually will be on the team, right? Because that's really what it boils down to. Because if you think about it, you know, as some of these guild members announce that they're within a guild and they might be really good racers, that could influence other people to want to also join that guild to basically be able to play with those players again. So just another aspect of the game that I'm thinking about there. And then you briefly touched on guild tooling. So this is something that I did also speak with the Knights about, and I think they're gonna also kind of go down a similar route where they're going to be providing some of their tools to other communities, obviously internally as well, right, to make sure that their guild can benefit from their tooling. But they're also talking about, kind of expanding their reach and making some of their tooling available outside of the guild. So I'm really excited to hear that, while you guys are focusing on the game itself, you guys will be able to actually build and leverage some of this blockchain technology to just essentially build tools that may eventually span outside of the mafia itself, right? And maybe you guys can monetize those tools to also bring back an additional revenue stream for some of the mafia token holders. So another thing there, when it comes to the mafia constitution, I'll be looking out for that as well. The guild, at least the Knights, are still working on their white paper, as you said, and I think it makes sense. You guys are also working on your constitution, given some of the lack of clarity right now that we have with the actual building of the game. Now, obviously, as soon as the game is actually released and everything is kind of finalized, I would then at that point assume that you guys will, kind of finalize things and get that released out to some of the mafia members to kind of really solidify that understanding of, what joining the mafia means and, what the real set of conduct is and what you guys are expecting from them as mafia members. Go
A
ahead. Go
hundred
ahead.
percent, yeah, 100%. Especially when it comes to different processes within the mafia, but also especially rewards. Who will earn how much?
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is a crucial topic that we all have to discuss within a guild. But we can't even put out a percentage there because we don't know yet.
Yeah, I don't blame you, and I think that's really kind of what 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 I understood from the other guilds I talk with as well. They're waiting on the economic side of things to be released. And I think the Cornucopias team is hesitant to release any of that prematurely, right? Because
Yeah,
they know as soon as that's released, the guilds are going to be all over that. And I'm
yeah,
sure within the guild, the Mafia Guild, you guys probably have some experts that are going to be looking at the economic side of things, making sure that what you guys are doing is going to be profitable and also going to be sustainable for the long term, right? So I'm definitely going to be highlighting that, irrespective of the guilds. As soon as the economics surrounding cornucopias come out, I'll probably be releasing videos on my channel just kind of talking about that and explaining exactly how all of that will work. But I think that's an aspect that people are really excited for. Now, two last things that I want to just briefly touch on, and then we're going to move along here. You did mention an event in London. I have not heard of that yet. We'll see if something does happen there, but go ahead.
only rumors.
That's true. That's fair. So if something does happen, I probably won't be in attendance, but if I can connect with somebody that's out there, that would be cool. Now, you did also mention that you guys have some things under wraps right now, right? When it comes to some educational aspects. So once those are released, maybe we get you back on here again and we have another follow-up interview and just kind of
Would
explain to
love
the
to, yeah.
community what that is all about. Cool. Cool, cool. All right, let's go ahead and move into the next topic. We are coming at about 30 or so minutes, just as a heads up. But what we've talked about so far has been how to join the guild, your roadmap. Do you mind briefly just kind of giving us, and obviously, some of this might be under wraps, so I want to respect that. But do you mind kind of talking to us about what you guys are currently developing right now, your priorities and some of your strategy? And then we're going to wrap up by getting your closing thoughts.
That's fine. So current focus points. Again, I personally working on trying to refine our processes. Coming from a very conservative industry work-wise, I also want to try to establish certain processes that are audited or not per se. We don't audit ourselves, but I have a few colleagues who already said, "Yeah, we're gonna help you out, audit the mafia, audit your processes." So I really want to establish those processes as well. And other than that, we are working, as I said, on the racing part because that's the next thing that's coming up. Um, Two other crucial things you touched on are the two new DAOs that are coming up. So the tokens are the visuals are currently being built. The community is discussing about. The current token holders are discussing about what they want, where we should tend to. And other than that, we are of course strategizing the whole time regarding the land grab, because everybody, I think, is really anticipating the land grab and to see where to place the parcels. So our guys are always talking about how and where and what. So this is a main topic once it comes up. And other than that, I think one of the other topics that we are currently trying to re-establish a bit is bringing the people together again. As I said, I think it was at the beginning, but as I said, we are currently in the bear market. Everything is going a bit slow and at a slow pace, and we trying to ramp that up again by different activities. We have something in mind that we are currently working on, community activities. I know the Knights have the poker tournament. We might do one as well. We have a few NFTs or maybe even whitelist spots to give away from other projects. So that's also something we are working on, bringing the pace again into the project and into the mafia. So this is a main focus point right now.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that you guys are really thinking about growing that community, especially right now, like you said a while. A lot of the focus does appear to be, gone from not just Cornucopias, but just from the space as a whole,
Yeah.
right? And so it is unfortunate, but I can definitely speak a little bit to that as well as a content creator, looking at how many views people were getting, how many subscriptions, all that, kind of metric type stuff a year ago compared to now is like night and day. And so even creating content right now, it is a struggle sometimes, but it is something that I like to do personally. So I just continue at it. And I'm sure it's the same thing for you guys in the guild, right? You guys like operating the guild. You guys are anticipating this game. And so regardless of whether we're in the bear or the bull, you guys are just going to keep on moving forward. So I commend you guys for doing that. And I think that over time, all of the guilds will eventually grow. Again, this game has such a big reach, right? That I think it's inevitable that new players come in. And as those new players come in, they're going to be aware of some of the guild opportunities that lie within the metaverse, with the Corn Mafia being one of those guilds. Again, being that you guys were here very, very early on, I think that gives you guys a little bit of credibility. And it sounds like you guys have a really kind of core structure team here, kind of guiding everything at hand. So I'm happy to hear that. Now, one last thing that you touched on was the land grab. And yes, I think that's what everybody's after for right now, right? Like we just saw another guild basically have an NFT sale to kind of do the same thing, pick up and purchase new land. So I don't think that this is a foreign concept. I think we're going to continue to see a lot of these guilds really kind of scoop up the land that's available, at least at some of the floor prices right now. And I think right now it is a fair opportunity, right? Prices are somewhat low. They're definitely not
Yeah.
at all-time highs. Now the Kopi token really recently saw some massive gains, but I think that the land assets really are still at the price that they are right now. So for anybody who's out here, if you guys want to actually pick some land up, obviously make sure you do your own research. But I do think that that's the right way to approach now. Are there going to be any plans? And one last question for you here. I know we've seen the sales of the theme zones, right? Are you guys having any plans for scooping up custom domes if you guys haven't already done that as a part of the other two DAOs?
Yeah, well, maybe I can use the question to answer the question and also add something that I wanted to say anyway. When it comes to the two already existing DAOs, the first one is a land DAO, so we purchased and holding 200 plots of land in there, as well as 250k worth 250k copy. But when it comes to the second one, it's the custom dome DAO. So the Corn Mafia or the DAO holds, I think, roughly 80 domes right now,
Wow.
as well as over 1 million copy. So
Wow.
when you buy one of the tokens, one of the few that are actually listed on secondary market, you will get a share of the revenue out of that as a
Wow.
reward for
Yeah.
buying into.
I was sleeping on you guys. I didn't realize you guys had that many domes and that much copy in your in the DAOs. That's quite impressive, man. Again, I think it just goes to show you guys really are a force to be reckoned with. So I'm excited for what you guys are going to be doing here. KB, we are coming up at about 40 minutes, and I do want to respect your time. And so without any further ado, I just want to get your closing thoughts. What do you guys want to share here with the community that might be watching when it comes to Cornucopias, the guild, and just the future plan and vision for what you guys are building?
Mhm. Let me summarize it with when it comes to metaverse and bringing people into Web3, I think Cornucopias is the right project, and they have the right mindset to do that. They have the gaming factor in it to bring people into the space. They have the right people to set everything up with a launcher that has an integrated wallet. It's all seamlessly what they are setting up, and that's why I'm so bullish on Cornucopias. That's what brought me actually. I think Cornucopias brought me into Cardano, and I think it will do that same with other people's too. And that's why I'm really happy that I got the opportunity to build a community, the Corn Mafia, for the top game and metaverse and project on Cardano, which we all will play, live, and be happy together for the upcoming years.
You couldn't have said that any better, man. I just want to echo that. The Cornucopias team, I think, has done an amazing job when it comes to attention to detail and their commitment to building a game first, not building a tool to make anybody rich. Now, obviously, some of us may use it in that way to earn, but they have really done an amazing job of committing to their detail. When you look at anything that they've released, it's always high quality and they always double check their work. And again, really focusing on building a brand and a community, which I think you guys are just kind of taking to that next level, right? Building on top of what they're already building. So it was a pleasure having you on this evening, KB. Again, I want to thank you for your time. I know that you've got a pretty busy schedule out there. And so again, I'm looking forward to having this be honestly an introduction to you on the channel and also to the Corn Mafia on the channel, right? At this point, the doors are open. You are more than welcome to come back on the channel and talk about what you guys are building once the constitution is ready, and once some of these things that you guys kind of have under wraps are ready to be shared with the community. Feel free to reach out, and I'm more than happy to have you back on. Thank you so much for your time. Again, for anybody watching this, if you guys are interested in joining the Corn Mafia Guild, I'm going to leave all the links to their socials down in the description below. Make sure to jump into their Twitter, interact with them on their website. Check them out on YouTube. Again, they've actually got a content creator, Scruffy, who does an amazing job of not only reporting on Cornucopias, but also bringing some of the latest developments surrounding the Corn Mafia to the community. That said, and as always, if you guys appreciated this type of content, please make sure to tap that like button. If it's your first time stopping by the Dapp Center YouTube channel and you appreciate interviews like this, or if you want more Cornucopias content, consider subscribing. And if you have any questions for me or KB, then make sure to leave those down in the comment section below. That said, I wish you all a wonderful evening.